Hi, I'm Deborah Hamilton. Welcome to my podcast, Why Do Pets Matter? 10 years ago, with my iPhone and a script, I recorded the first episode of the Ultimate Pet Resolution Summit, which chatted with experts about conflicts over animals. Our conversations were intimate, honest, and illustrated how disagreements over animals occur and how those disagreements can reshape people's lives and relationships. In November 2019, I started Why Do Pets Matter, a new podcast that continued these informative discussions. I'm so excited to have you here with me, continuing my exploration into a more meaningful conversation about why pets matter to all of us. My guests and I will share ideas, stories, and experiences straight from the heart, unscripted and holistic. From the bravest moments to the most brokenhearted, we will explore how to resolve disagreements over animals differently. One thing I know for sure is I want to have more meaningful conversations that will help all of us unlock that deeply felt human-animal bond that drives the emotions of conflict. Hi, it's Deborah Hamilton, and today we're talking to Clarice Ritchie. She's the executive director of Paws for People, and you might remember we spoke with Kate Rosenthal a few weeks ago because their WagAthon was on, and I was hoping everyone would either participate, get more information, or maybe just donate to the WagAthon as people were walking a marathon. We talked about so much today, including the ability of you as the therapy dog handler to recognize what wonderful love, affection, and magic your pet can give to other people with you as a therapy dog handler. So let's go see what Clarice has to say today. And remember, everything will be in the show notes that we speak about today. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Why Do Pets Matter? We're here today with my good friend, Clarice Ritchie. She is the executive director of Paws for People. You might remember we spoke with Kate Rosenthal a few weeks ago when they were kicking off their WagAthon to raise money for people with pets. And now, wonderfully, I've asked Clarice to come back and tell us how that went, and also to tell us, the one question, why do pets matter to her? So welcome, Clarice.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this morning.
I'm so glad you're here. And we always ask our guests the first question, why do pets matter to you, Clarice?
So for me, pets just bring that special joy to life, that unconditional love that no one else can make you feel that way when you come home at the end of the day. That make you feel so special and like you're the only person in the world that matters that day.
I know it is like that best feeling when you walk in the door and no matter what kind of day you've had, your dog is, or your cat or your bird, or if you're going to a barn, your horse, are glad to see you. So it really does lift your heart. You always know there's someone who's going to be really glad to see you. So I'm really thrilled that that's the takeaway for you. And I know that you work in service with people and their pets, for Paws for People. Tell me a little bit more, because I know Kate had told us about it, but remind our listeners what Paws for Pet is and what WagAthon is so that we can let them know how well we did and what it's affiliated to and all sorts of good items so they can, if they missed it this time, they can catch it next year because you do it yearly.
We do, absolutely. So Paws for People is a pet therapy organization. So we have over 500 volunteers who volunteer with their pet, their gentle, affectionate dog, cat, or bunny, and do visitation in the community to just bring support and love to anyone in need of a furry friend on any given day. So we have a lot of specialized training for our volunteers to make sure that they get the best visit possible with the people that they're visiting with. And our Wag and Walkathon is our biggest fundraiser of the year. It's a month-long cumulative marathon. So it's a special event. I love it because I could never go and run a marathon. But I can claim that I did one because over the course of the month, I get in my 26.2 miles and I get my special magnet for my car that says 26.2. So it looks like I'm a rock star walker. And it's just a lot of fun to encourage people to get out and be healthy and raise money for a great cause.
Absolutely. And you don't have to go out and walk with your pet. You can go out and walk for the pets as well, because and have your neighbors support your walk and help raise funds so that you can help people. Really tell me a little bit about what you use the funds for, because I'm sure there are different people who help Paws for People run.
Yes, absolutely. So the funds are used to train our pet therapy teams. So we have staff that help with training. We also have volunteers that we train to do our training. And so it provides the materials that we need and the special leashes and the special we have a lot of specialty trainings. So we have autism training. We have a training for people working with elders. We have training for people that go into hospitals. So there's a lot of developing of materials and special things. We provide a reading program for kids who are struggling with reading. They can come into their local library or some of our schools and read to a non-judgmental pet. And so we provide those volunteers with special books and incentives for the kids to come and read. And we give the kids t-shirts if they come a certain number of times and get paw stamps to keep them reading and really instill that love of reading in folks. And so there's a lot of material needs as well as training needs. And that's what the funding does. It enables us to get out and support even more people.
So where is Paws for People located? And do you have satellite offices, or are there volunteer trainers or trainers trained by you that can help people outside of your geographic area, say, to become part of Paws for People? I'm sure the greatest hope for Paws for People is that it grows across the country.
So our headquarters is actually in Delaware. And we have volunteers currently in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland. So we kind of have our 4-state area here where our 500 volunteers are. We kind of extend about 2 hours out from our headquarters in each direction. And we have different staff people that help us with different areas so that there's a local feel. We have intentionally not expanded too far away from our headquarters because we really like our volunteers engaged with us. It's one of the things that sets our organization apart is that once our volunteers are trained, we take them on their first visit to the facility where they're going to be visiting. And every time that they try a new facility or a different type of visiting, we take them again on a first visit to provide that additional level of support for the volunteers. And that's really important to us. So we've definitely expanded since I've been here 9 years. And we've definitely expanded our area since then and gotten some more staff involved. But we just want to make sure that all of our volunteers are having that same level of support wherever they are.
So the Mid-Atlantic region is so blessed to have all of you. And if anyone has a pet that they'd like to see, if they would make a good therapy dog, because I know when I spoke with Kate, there is often a time when the human is really into therapy dog training and the therapy dog, prospective therapy dog isn't necessarily into it as much. And so there's a whole training on whether or not your pet is appropriate. And then if they are, you start at the general level, right? And then you take different courses to keep you sharp, to maybe give you the new tools you'll need to be an autistic therapy dog or an elder therapy dog or a disaster therapy dog kind of thing.
Right. So all of our people and our dogs find that they enjoy different things, which is great that we have such a wide variety of programs. And sometimes people come in and they the person really wants to visit with kids. They just want to do things with kids. And then they find out when they go to visit that their dog or cat or bunny doesn't particularly enjoy children, that they move too fast, that they're unpredictable, and it makes them uncomfortable. And they may find that their pet loves to visit with people in elder care, that move a little bit slower, that will stick with them for a while. And so they may have to change what they think when they come in based on what their animal enjoys. And sometimes our animals enjoy everyone, everywhere, at any time. You know, it's really once it takes a little bit to get into things to find out what the perfect fit is for you. But basically, if your animal is people focused, we can't teach that. So if they have that basic desire to want to be with people, it's most likely going to work. And we can work with you to get the other skills that you need to visit.
So that's the blessing of having everyone pretty much close by. You said within like a 2-hour radius, because they can really call you if their dog is really enjoying something and they want to expand, or if their dog seems to be maybe getting tired of reading with kids, but really still loves elder care. And you can up their visits to elder care and maybe give them less visits with reading.
Absolutely. So they can totally decide what they want to do. And we can give them some specialized training. We can set up a shadow visit if they're not feeling quite comfortable or thinking that something could be going better than it is. We can set them up with another volunteer in the area who can go out with them, or they can shadow the volunteer and their dog to kind of see how the visit at that same facility goes for someone else. We really want to make sure our volunteers are well prepared and comfortable, and that it's fun for them. As a volunteer, there are lots of things you can choose to do. So we want to make sure this is a rewarding experience for everyone.
Well, it sounds to me as if the people who are lucky enough to begin training with you and then to complete training, because there is a certain amount of training that has to go into a handler and a dog to receive the, I guess, certification of Paws for People, so that they can then follow in the footsteps of those who went before and go to different facilities that either you have a relationship with, or maybe they bring it to the fold because they have a relationship with.
Right. It's absolutely going both ways. So in some cases, someone may be visiting a given facility because their mother is in that assisted living facility, and the facility is asking that they have insurance. So they want to go through a certification process so we can bring that assisted living facility into our family of sites, and then maybe find some other folks to visit there as well.
It really is a win-win. And about how long does it take? Because some of the listeners may be having a dog that's really people motivated, loves people, pretty well trained. How long does it take to get the handler, and I'm sure varies, but get the handler and the dog ready to go on a supervised visit?
It actually is quicker than most people think, because as long as our dogs come in with basic obedience, so they know those basic commands, and our test is very similar to the Canine Good Citizen test. So if you're familiar with that, it's very similar as far as commands. The only thing we don't do is the supervised separation, because we don't ever want you apart from your pet. So, and then we do some additional temperament testing to make sure that you're okay with a wheelchair or an IV pole, or a loud noise, or those kinds of things, to make sure that they're going to be okay in a facility where something unexpected like a fire alarm might occur, and kind of make sure that they're okay with being pet everywhere. And if there are some sensitivities, that they're aware of that, so that they can share that with folks. So after they come in with that basic training, our training is 2 sessions. And then from there, we set up the supervised visit.
And how many supervised visits do they get? Because I would think, I have a wonderfully people-oriented very well obedience trained Irish setter, but I think I would like to have somebody there with me on the first few visits just to make sure I'm doing it right, she's doing it right, or if I have any questions. So how many supervised visits do you get even after the 2 training sessions?
Yeah, so we typically do one, and then at that point, it's up to the volunteer. If they feel comfortable going back to that facility on their own the second time, then they can do that. And then if they decide they want to add another facility, then we'll do another supervised visit. We want to make sure that they know who to check in with, where to find things, what that site's policies are, and all of that during that first visit. So in some of our elder care facilities in particular, they'll put special paw prints on the doors of their folks who like pets and want to visit. So we want to make sure that the volunteer knows that when they go in to look for those and introduce them to some folks in the facility. And then in some of our reading visits, we want to make sure that they know how that flow works, as far as, 15 minutes for a reading session for a child, and then they're going to switch children. And then we want to make sure they have time to give them their special stickers and, that kind of thing, so that they feel comfortable with that, and that can do that on their own the next time. But if at that point they request another assisted visit, we can certainly line that up for them.
It's so important because for me, I would love to just know I'm doing it right. I'm a very big rule follower, so I just really like to know I'm doing it correctly, and that my dog Mariah would be doing it correctly, because it's important that everyone have a really good experience. And I love that the facilities, the elder facilities, put paws on the doors of those people who want to visit from the dog, so that you don't make the mistake of going into a room where maybe somebody isn't capable of having a visit, doesn't want to visit, is afraid of pets, because some of the most disenfranchised people in the universe are the ones who don't like pets. And they are there. I help them all the time, but they're there because it is something that's really important. So at this point, you've wrapped up the WagAthon and made some really serious inroads into funding some new activities and still funding the old activities. Can you give us a little peek into what might be coming up in the next few months that people could go on your website, which is pawsforpeople.org, to learn about and maybe participate in?
So we don't have any more special events coming up for this year. But in February, we have our annual conference, which is a time when we come together, bring our members together, and the general community. You don't have to be a member to come to the conference, but to learn more about pet therapy, to learn more about animal health and wellness. We have experts in the field come in and do workshops and keynote speakers. So that's coming up in February. And then in April, we do 2 events in April. One is our Spring Fling, which is a luncheon silent auction event, which is a lot of fun. And the other is a fairly new to us event called Doodles in Dewey. And it is a gathering of doodles of all kinds at Dewey Beach for a weekend together. We do a pet parade and a romp on the beach. And it's just a fun gathering time. It's an event that we inherited because the people that started it outgrew their ability to run it. So they asked us if we'd like to have it. So those are coming up in the beginning of next year. And our next event here will be the National Dog Show. We serve as therapy dog ambassadors for the National Dog Show. So that will be coming up soon, the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Right. And you all are going to be in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, right? At the National Dog Show.
Yes.
And you are affiliated with the National Dog Show Therapy Dog Symposium as well, because everyone needs to know that there are conferences out there, yours and the National Dog Show, that help therapy dog handlers learn more about the entire process, because as we all know, there are so many things that therapy dog owners need to know about access to facilities, how they go about doing that, how they go about continuing education, because all of us should always have continuing education. So it's huge. And then of course, just being together with people who are like-minded, who want to help people experience the love and affection and unconditional experience with a dog that they might not be able to get if they're in an assisted living, or if they're in a nursing home, or if they're in the hospital.
Absolutely. You know, so many of those folks in those facilities have had pets their whole life, and some of them have actually had to give them up when they went into that facility. So the healing properties of bringing an animal in to visit with them, it just watching it. I mean, we constantly are using the word magic at Paws, and that's exactly what it is. Just to watch the whole room light up. When families are visiting, it serves the whole family. When you often, I mean, I've had family that's been in assisted living, and when I've gone in, it's like, what do we talk about today? You know, what the weather is, where you parked, you know, those things. It just kind of gets to be routine. And then someone comes in with an animal, and it just changes the conversation. It makes things flow so well. There's lots of memories of pets that are shared, and it really just changes the whole atmosphere of the visit, and as well as really reducing social isolation that was really brought to us thanks to the pandemic.
Yeah.
We're still recovering from that in so many ways, in our schools and in our elder care facilities in particular. And pet therapy is such a great tool to have in a counselor's toolbox to help with those issues.
Let me ask you, I know that this might be in one of the courses that might be taught at a conference, but are there some therapy dogs who also choose to work with some of the physical therapists in elder care, where they throw the ball, or they go down the back of the dogs for, it's very hidden exercise.
The motivation of having a pet in rehab is unbelievable. I mean, we're experiencing it right now from the youngest children up through our elders, but it's just amazing that someone that doesn't want to do their exercises on a particular day will get up to walk a dog.
Yeah.
And we have special second leashes that we can hook on so that people can walk with us and walk the dogs. We visit in a facility that provides medical daycare for children and the fragilest of kids, but they're in therapy and occupational therapy. And the counselors have gotten so creative at involving the pets, even harnessing one of our pets to the front of a tricycle to have the children practicing steering and pedaling, and kids that didn't want to do it at all were going around and round and around the room like they were on a sled dog team. And just to see the motivation that it brings and the joy and the laughter that you don't often hear in therapy, that's hard. It's hard work. And the elders that'll reach just that little bit further when we move the dog away using those muscles that have forgotten how to move. It's truly magical.
It's truly rewarding, because you're sneaking the spinach in, the mashed potatoes. Right? We all love mashed potatoes, but you got to sneak that spinach in. And if the dog is, 12 inches away, as opposed to right next to the person, and they reach that 12 inches, the amount of mobility they're going to get over the visits is going to be really, as you said, magical, because they won't do it necessarily just for them, but they
Right.
definitely will do it to pet an animal. So I'm so thrilled that I've been able to be a part of this group for a while, and really have learned so much about what they do, how they do it. I know that they're in the Mid-Atlantic. I was hoping they'd spread out, but I do understand their mission and their vision, and that keeps them as a tight-knit group that wants to support the people in the Mid-Atlantic to become volunteers, to get trained, to go to different facilities, to bring different facilities in, because it's important that this kind of therapy, both physical and mental, is done on a regular basis.
Absolutely. And if anyone is in this area and wants to do something rewarding, we currently have about 180 sites that we visit with in our area, but we have 109 in our waiting pool. The
Wow.
the need for pet therapy right now is at an all-time high. People are still reeling from the social isolation of the pandemic, and our schools in particular are really neat. The distance learning really hurt our younger kids who missed out on those formative years where you learn social skills and you learn how to be a part of a class and you learn
Time
learning.
management skills.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All those things that, the kindergarten and first graders that had to do distance learning and that also critical time are now third and fourth graders who are really struggling to feel a part of a community. And we are seeing how much pet therapy can help. And we're just looking for more volunteers that are available during the daytime and would be willing to visit in our schools.
So how long does a visit take, Clarice? Like about an hour, or, depending on how far you are from the facility?
Right. Typically our visits in the facility time run between 45 minutes to an hour and a half. It really is catered to the animal. We are advocates for our animals, and we don't want to do anything that's too long for them. And sometimes the constant stimulation can really wear them out. So sometimes 45 minutes to an hour is long enough. We have other animals that can go all day. They just love it. And so that they might have a longer visit, but it really is dependent on the person and the pet and what is the best fit for them. But I would say an hour is pretty typical of the amount of time for a visit.
And part of the training I remember from all the conferences I've attended is that the handler is the advocate for the therapy pet, because they really need to know if the therapy pet is having a good time or not. And disappointing people is really difficult, but making sure the therapy dog is safe and happy is even more critical, or they might not be able to do it anymore.
Absolutely. And that's why we feel it's so important that we do our therapy work with people that already have a relationship with the animal. That really helps them know my pet's comfortable or not, or this is their sign to me that this isn't a good situation for them, or, oh my gosh, they are loving life. I have never seen my pet so happy, which we hear a lot. And that I tell people all the time, you think you love your animal now, you wait until you see them change the life of somebody, and you're just going to be bursting with pride that, your pet is really making the difference for somebody else and they're loving it. It's a win. We always say it's a win-win-win for the person, the pet, and the person who's receiving the visit. It's just a great kind of triangle.
I am so glad we've chatted this morning, Clarice. We're running out of time, but I really want to let everyone know. I know I said pawsforpeople.org, but there's some information that you want to share. Also, please go look at the pictures on the website of the WagAthon. It was so much fun. So tell us a little bit more about how people can get involved, what classes might be coming up, if any. I know, the holidays are coming, so that might be difficult, but how do they get involved? How do they find you?
Yeah, so on the website, as you said, pawsforpeople.org, there's a tab that says volunteer and volunteer with your pet. And there's all kinds of information of how to register to become involved as a volunteer. There's a video there that you can see what the testing looks like, so you know what to expect or what your animal needs to do to get involved. And then you can just submit an application online, and then we have a team that will reach out to you to walk you through the whole process. of everything that you should expect. And then if you agree that it's a good fit for you and your pet, then we'll give you an invitation for training. We have training classes every month. So they're, starting this week for November, but we'll have more classes in December. We have them in the Newark, Delaware area every single month. And then we rotate through the rest of our paw print in the other months. So every at least 3 months, there's one in the other areas in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Maryland and in Southern Delaware.
Wonderful. I'm so glad you were here. And it's Paws, Paws for people, so that everybody spells it correctly. And I'm so glad you're here, Clarice. It's been a wonderful time talking to you. Tell me 2 things that make it so valuable for you to be involved with Paws for people.
Well, the first would be just watching the joy that is brought into the world by our therapy teams. We have the most incredible volunteers that really care about the community, and watching them make connections with the people that they visit on a regular basis and bringing that joy. That's what brings me to work every day. And when people come into our office to have their dog tested or retested, you would think the staff has never seen a dog before in their life. I mean, everyone is just so happy. So the fact that we get joy, we know how much joy is out there. And the other thing is our world is really broken. And being in an organization that can make an impact on that is really humbling. We as people couldn't do it. Our pets are what bring the magic. And watching that in action and knowing that a school, an assisted living facility, a rehab facility, a drug and alcohol facility, a hospital, a prison are getting these visits that are changing lives is just the best feeling that you can wake up with in the morning.
I have to say that those are 2 phenomenal reasons. And the last one definitely recognizes that our pets who sit next to us and give us such wonderful love and unconditional affection can also have us be, I always want to be the person my dog thinks I am, and Therapy Dog really lets you do that. So I'm so glad you were here, Clarice. And I'm so glad that Paws for People has done such a great job this year with its WagAthon. I look forward to getting back together with you guys next year, way before, so we can get more people on the WagAthon walking those 26 point however many miles for their marathon, maybe not all at once, but as you said, it's still 26 miles.
That's right.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to speaking to you next year.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm really glad that we connected.
Well, I love you and Kate, so we'll connect again.
Great. Thank you so much.
Take care. You've
You
been
too.
on Why Do Pets Matter? And we've been speaking with Clarice Ritchie, who's the executive director of Paws for People. The Why Do Pets Matter podcast drops every Thursday and can be found on whichever platform you find your podcast. Subscribe now, invite your friends, and I cannot wait to have you join me in these conversations.